And hello and welcome. My name is Martin, and today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be building upon the shooting enemy that we created in the last tutorial to create a rotating enemy that doesn't actually move. So the movement in this is going to be more or less like a turret, right? So a turret would stay in one location and it would rotate and it would find the enemy and then shoot it. So this is a common kind of enemy, especially if it's going to be stationary but still be shooting, and this way it can still see us and rotate towards us and then shoot the ammunition in that direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the shooting enemy that we had previously, we're going to right click on it, we are going to duplicate it, and this one we are going to call rotating enemy, and maybe rotating shooting enemy. Okay, so rotating shooting enemy. And the other thing I'm also going to do is I'm going to make a copy of this. So I don't want it to conflict with the other one, and I want it to call in its own ammunition. So let's go ahead and do that. This way, if they both do have separate ammunitions, when we go through later to assign a value of how much damage that's going to apply to a character, if each one of these are separate, then you'd be able to apply different damages to them, as opposed to if they were the same one, they would all be the same, because the damage code would actually go to the ball because that has to hit us. So we're going to create another one. So right click, go to duplicate. This one will be called rotating ammunition or rotating projectile. And I'm going to go ahead and call it rotating projectile. Well, the other one I don't have is a 1 because I haven't done this this is me doing it as a video tutorial. Okay, so we're going to leave it like that. So rotating shooting enemy, rotating projectile. All right, so both of those are now together. We're going to go ahead and compile and save and get rid of those asterisks. So from there, let's go into the rotating shooting enemy. The first thing that I want to do is go to the viewport, and I want this to look different than the other one so we can identify it as a different enemy. So let's go to static mesh. We'll go here to static mesh, and let's go and find some other type of, I don't like that one. Animal bones, anvil, algae, interesting. So let's go back to statue 1 cave, statue desert, ice statues. Y'all may or may not have the same statues that I have, so yeah, let's go with that one. I think this one comes out of the Oriental World pack. Considerably smaller. It's like a garden gnome almost. Kind of scary, spooky looking, round, which is what I was looking for. So let's do that, and let's increase its size a bit so it's let's say just a little bit taller. Okay, from there, the next thing that I'm going to want to do is let's go to the spawn projectile location and let's figure out where that is. It's way up here. Okay, so it's way up there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this down here, and let's get it a little bit closer to the... So really all we're doing is we're just adjusting where this thing is. Okay, let's put that. And I guess if I wanted to, I could put the location as 0, 0, 0, and it would pop me right back to the beginning point. Okay, so that's kind of cool. It's going to look like it's coming out of its mouth. And I'll just put that a little bit in front of the teeth because I don't want anything with the teeth blocking the ball as it's coming out, or the projectile. So we'll push that about right there. All right, so now we have a new location for that. So let's go ahead and hit compile and save just to save that. So now let's go back to the event graph. So right now, technically this thing wouldn't be any different than the statue with the wings and this the spear and the shield, right? The one that was the shooting, chasing enemy. So what we need to do is we need to change the AI move to part. So we want to keep the shooting. And there is going to be a change that we're going to make to the shooting, so we'll get to that in just a minute. But what we do want to do is go ahead and change this from AI move to a rotation. So let's go ahead and we're going to delete both of those. And let's off of this. Let's go to set actor, of course. Sorry about that. So let's right click, set actor rotation. Okay. And that is the one that we are looking for. From here, we'll go ahead and attach the execute to this. So then that way, as soon as it sees us, it starts to rotate. The rotation needs to be in the direction of the actor. And we need to have a starting rotation, like where it is right now versus where it's going to end up. So to do this, we need a find look at rotation. So it's going to find us and then look at that rotation. So it means it's going to rotate to that location. So let's right click here and go find look at rotation. So find look at rotation, and we are going to attach that to the new rotation so that we have a new value. And this is now going to give us a start and a target. So wherever we are, rotate to new position, right? That new position, so to do that, we need a get actor location. We need to know where certain things are. We need to know where we are and where where the actor is. So let's type in get actor location. So there it is as a function underneath utilities. You'll notice that this has a vector output, and we need two of these. So Control C, Control V. That'll give us a second one, and we'll plug that into the target. Now, the first one is correct in the fact that it is going to give us the self. It's already self-targeting itself. If you wanted to, you could put the static mesh or the rotating self, or actually it would have to be the self, so it would have to be a reference to the self, but you don't have to because that's already there. Now the other thing we will do is we'll go ahead and select that guy and delete it, and the other location that we're looking for, what the target location is get actor location, which is as first person character. So before we had self, and this was going to the AI move to. Now we have a set rotation, so it's going to change the rotation, and it's going to look at where we are right now versus where the character or the first person is, because that's what we're referencing back to, the first person character, and then it's going to rotate us into that direction. Now, the only other thing that we may end up doing is changing this, because we are now rotating as opposed to being in one location. So let's see if that makes any difference, whether we need to change this or not. So let's go ahead and hit compile and save. Oh, and before we go, we do need to change this from enemy projectile to the new projectile, which is the rotating projectile. So let's type in projectile, and there's the rotating projectile. And then that way later we can assign different values to those. Everything should be good, so let's go ahead and compile and save, and let's close this, and let's go ahead and put one of these on the floor. Let's kind of center that a little bit better. Since this object is not going to be able to move, it needs to have an area that it's going to shoot in. Okay, I just wanted to fill in that last square. Okay, cool. So this thing should start shooting at us anywhere that we are in this location, and then if this thing ends up moving away, it'll, I assume, reduce down into that area. All right, so let's go ahead and push play. And right now it should not be shooting at us. It should only start shooting at us when we get close enough to it. And it rotated. And its rotation is looking at us. I suppose we moved out of its... Now, that does bring up an interesting point. What we might end up needing to do with this is change its angle, because this thing was moving towards us, where this thing is more of a sentry thing. So we might need to change its actual angle here. So instead of it being a sight, let's see, where is it? Not the intervals, there it is. Not the hearing threshold. We'll bring the sight radius down. Those are those two. Oh, there it is. Last one down at the very bottom. So right now this is at 45. So let's go ahead and bring this as wide as it's going to let us, which is going to be 90. And then that way this thing will be able to see us all the way out to its own edges. So let's go ahead and hit compile and save. And let's close that down. So this thing should interact with us a lot better now. Should be able to see us no matter, as long as we're in front of it somewhere. There we go. Okay, the other thing I may end up doing with this character too, remember that it doesn't have a lot of area where it's seeing. So let's, since it's not going to move, let's expand that area out. So let's actually do two things. Let's pull this out. And let's go to the sight radius, and right now that's set to about 700. Let's make this about 2000, so it's going to have really good sight. It'll be able to see us from far away. Let's and then the other thing we also want to do is so the sight radius, and then what was the other thing I wanted to do to it? Oh, right. It's going to be in the navigational invoker. So right now, well, I guess since it's not moving, let's just generate well, no, because this is all going to be based on sight. So really, we could almost get rid of the navigational invoker, because in this situation, we don't actually need it. That would actually be one less thing. So let's go ahead and delete that. Let's hit compile and save. And now let's see. So even though it doesn't have, because it doesn't have to navigate, all it has to do is rotate to its new position. So let's get a little bit closer to it. So we can see now that it is starting to react to us with a much wider area. And if I get in close, let's see if we can... Okay, so cool. We now have a shooting, rotating enemy. Let's get far enough away from it. There we go. So now we're out of its range. So as soon as we get close enough to it, it will start shooting us. Okay, fantastic. So there you go, shooting, rotating enemy. So I hope you've enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.